Okay, folks, so today I really want to talk about the single engine Graham Banks that we took 1,973 miles from Miller Marine in Panama City, Florida, all the way to Warwick, Rhode Island. It took us 22 days total, and we took 2 of those days off. So what I want to do is share the pictures with you of the trip and then go over all the stats for the trip itself. We started out with an overnight crossing. It happened to be our longest one. It was from Panama City to Sarasota, Florida. It took us 35 hours, and it was also the longest one at 285 miles. We ended up doing 3 of them, but we'll talk about them here in a few minutes. You can see that we had a beautiful crossing here. The dolphins were absolutely gorgeous out there. It almost looks like we were floating on a magic carpet is what it looked like, to tell you the truth. So average days here, like I said, it took us a total of, it was 22 days is what the trip took. It took us 20 days of travel. Average statute miles per day was 99 miles. Average hours per day was 13. Total distance was 1,973 miles. That was the total distance. It took us 3 times to fill the tank on the single engine Graham Banks for a total of it was right under $4,000 was our total fuel burn for the entire trip. We actually only stopped at our marina stops were very, very slim. We didn't stop much. Once we got it under our groove, we really just went we stopped at, we just threw the anchor out, especially after we got into our rhythm. You can see us right here. We have a guy out here trying to work on the generator down here in Sarasota, Florida. And after that, I do get the generator running again. But it's for a limited time, and you'll see later on in the video here we end up going to Home Depot and pick up a backup generator, and that's when things really start to turn around for us. And after we leave Sarasota, we have to run down to Naples, pick up a dinghy. You can see they're putting it on the boat right here in somebody's backyard, actually, and then we head back up to Fort Myers and then over through the not the Dismal Swamp. This is what is this thing called? It's over the Okeechobee, and that's where we ended up stopping that night. And then the next day we get up and we try to do the entire Okeechobee, but we ran into some weather and we had to stop because of weather got to us. You can see right here, I turned around and actually saw this, and I'm like, oh my God, so we had to pull into this place called Slim's. They shut down this bridge and we couldn't get through it. And then we watched Captain Ron that night. You can see right here, there's a Slim's fish camp. Anyway, that's on the rim of the Okeechobee. I've never done the rim of the Okeechobee, so I was glad I did it. You see the alligators just right here where we're parking. And this is the bridge that we couldn't get through that night. Anyway, let's go for our stats right here, because I can give you the actual average speeds and stuff like that too. So our average speed was in statute miles was 7.7. So that's right under 7 knots. It's about 6.5 knots. That was our average speed throughout the entire trip. Nautical miles at 6.7 for you guys keeping track. Total minutes was 612 minutes, and total hours on the engine was 278. So the trip was actually very, very, they were hard days. When we got into our rhythm, we really started getting into our rhythm, and we got the boat all dialed in. And what I mean by that is I got the generator, I've got my USB ports fixed. So you can see us here at one of the marinas that we happen to stop at. And this is where we pick up the generator. Because we're just through fighting the generator. The generator actually lasts us a few more days, believe it or not, and it stayed running. But after that, we ended up using the backup generator that we purchased at Home Depot there in Titusville, Florida, actually. So here you can see us at we just stopped at for Fernandina for the night, and we just stayed right on the thing. That was the last night that we had use of our generator. Our generator had failed after that, and it wasn't because the generator wasn't running. It was because the electrical side of it wouldn't work. So this is Kilkenny. I always liked Kilkenny. I don't know why. Anyway, you can see me sitting in the chair here. Anyway, let's get back to the stats right here. So it was a total of 20 days. 99 miles a day was our average. Average hours per day were 13, and total distance was 1,973 miles. So that's a long ways to take a boat on a delivery. So here we are. We're pulling up into Thunderbolt Marina. And we had planned on going outside, but we didn't. We were on the inside here. We got to see Dan and Tanya here. I met them at our marina, and so it was nice hooking up with them. And anyway, once we leave Thunderbolt here, we really get into our rhythm, and the trip really starts to take off. So after we leave Thunderbolt, you can see this is where we had stopped just outside of Charleston. We did an outside crossing. You see just a beautiful sunrise here this morning. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is where we really start getting into our stride. We're just anchoring. We just get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we just go until sometimes 11 o'clock at night. Go past Lulu's here in South Carolina. And then you can just see us. We're in the canal here. We're going to be outside, but because of weather, we're stuck in the canal here for a few days until we get to the Dismal Swamp, where we go ahead and make a crossing right here. And this is all in Cape Fear type area right here. Just beautiful sunrises and beautiful sunsets. And the boat is everything's clicking. The boat's running really well. We've got our generator. We've got our air conditioner all figured out. Down in Florida and down in the lower Carolinas, South Carolina, it was hot, so we really needed that generator. Just another gorgeous sunrise this morning. Yeah, just look at that, just beautiful. All right, after going through the nasty noose there, a couple of those photos were from the noose, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I go do a survey down in Delaware City, and I get to see Karen and Mark of KD, so that was cool to see them. So here we are. We're leaving the Elizabeth City now, heading through the Dismal Swamp. This is another one of our long trips here because we don't stop now until we get to Atlantic City. We do an open ocean crossing here once we get out of the Dismal Swamp and over into the Chesapeake Bay. We go around on the outside and go past Delaware City, Cape May, and all that stuff. So that's what we're doing right here. Okay, so one thing that we're monitoring throughout this whole trip here is this weather disturbance here. The name for our first named storm of the season. You can see that little white dot right there. That's just outside of the Chesapeake Bay, and on our little run over to Delaware City, you can see those beautiful sunrise right here. Anyway, we end up cutting in, and we end up going in and just after Atlantic City in some little hole, and we end up staying the night there. And then getting up the next morning or about afternoon because we wanted to wait out the weather. So once we got through with our crossing here, I got to see the Queen Mary 2, and I actually got to talk to them. And this is our final crossing right here, our final push right here, as we're making it across from Atlantic City over to Block Island, where we stop for the rest of the day, and we enjoy the day over there. We get over there about noon. And you can see right here, that's me on the island. We rent a car and just drive around there a little bit. Now this is the final push going. It's about a 33 miles at one of our shortest days of the entire trip. And this is it, going across over to Warwick, Rhode Island. And you can see us putting the boat away right here, rinsing it off and all that stuff after a long 1,900-mile trip. Anyway, I hope you guys had a happy 4th. Peace out. Remember, live life with no regret. I do.